Halloween is right around the corner, and what are we going to do with all that Halloween candy? And man, should I be stressed about how much candy is going to be everywhere? Let's dive into exactly how you're going to overcome the holiday cravings of all the Halloween favorites. And let's dive into today's episode. Hey, what's going on, friend? Welcome to this week's episode of the Fit and Healthy Sioux Falls Show. Halloween is right around the corner, and Halloween has become all about the costumes and, more importantly, the candy. And so we're going to talk today about, should I be stressed about all the candy that's going to be everywhere? How do I kind of maneuver myself through this candy-filled couple days? And then what about my kids? That's a lot of candy. And what are we going to do with it all? So let's kind of talk about it. First and foremost, I want to let you know this. Even if you eat all the candy, it's not going to completely derail you and completely throw you into some crazy kind of world where you'll never be able to reach the goals that you have. So number one, know that first. Just because there's candy everywhere, and even if you eat more than you probably should, you're going to be okay. So don't stress too much about it. But what I can tell you more than anything is that if you want to get through with all this candy everywhere, get through these couple days and couple weeks where there's just a lot more candy around, you need to prepare yourself. And more so than anything, you need to let yourself know on a real note, where are you when it comes to temptation with sweets and junk food? And then depending on where you kind of fall on that scale, whether you're a person that very easily gives into the cravings or you're a person that doesn't give into the temptations as much, you need to kind of first place yourself on that scale. And then depending on where you fall, you need to make sure that you are prepared at a level to combat whatever it is, the temptations that you're going to face. Meaning, if you give in to temptation and give in to grabbing the snacks or the treats that you don't have in your plan more easily, then you need to be prepped and plan out what you're going to have instead. Because what I have found is that, and maybe this isn't true for everyone, but this has definitely helped me, and I think it'll help you. What I have found is, let's say you go into the break room at work and there's a bowl of Halloween candy sitting there. Okay, now what happens is it triggers something inside of you where now you want to eat that treat. And you might be doing really well with your plan and staying on your plan. But what happens is that want to have one of those treats, it's still there. And you're pushing it down and you're telling it no, we're not going to do it. We're going to stay on track. But what happens ultimately, you want something, you want that. And so what you need to do is be planned and be prepared to have something. So, okay, you're going to stay on track. Great. You're doing good. Great. But you still have that temptation, that craving that popped up. What can you already have planned out that you can go back to your desk, go back to your job, go back to work, or back to whatever it is that you're doing, eat the thing that you planned to eat, satisfy that want to now have something? Because what I've found is a lot of times when you see that bowl of candy, if that triggers a temptation or triggers a craving, what happens then is even if you suppress it and you move on without having it, what happens is eventually you want something. And the way to get that completely out of your mind and to get that temptation and that craving completely to go away is to feed your body something. A lot of times your body doesn't, after it wants that certain treat or that craving, a lot of times your body doesn't actually care what you give it, but a trigger just went off inside of you that now you want something. And you can't have that, and you're not giving me anything else. okay, I'm going to just keep on bugging you and telling you that you should go eat that candy until you eat that candy. So plan to have something at your desk. Maybe you have a little mini fridge and you keep string cheese in there, or you've got some peanuts, almonds, or nuts portioned out that you can have, or you brought a piece of fruit or something that you can have. And what that thing or that item that you have, what that is that is planned and prepped for you to know. And now what you can do is put two and two together. Like, all right, self, when I am tempted with candy and when a craving pops up, I am not going to have that, but I am going to go have the thing that I planned and prepped myself to bring. So your first kind of tip to overcome the holiday, the Halloween candy craze is to be planned and prepared to have something ready to eat that is better for you or that fits more on your plan, that is going to satisfy when the wantingness comes up to have something. So that's the first thing that you're going to do. Okay, we already talked about understanding that even if you do eat some of the candy, you're fine. I'll be real honest, and I don't want this to be something that kind of like gives you permission then to go eat as much candy as you want. But every Halloween, what I do is I don't eat a ton of candy throughout the year, like at all. But another side story, I grew up, my family owned a business here. My grandma and grandpa and then their brother and sister-in-law, or kind of however that meshed out, they owned a business here in town called Queen City Wholesale. And what Queen City Wholesale was a candy and tobacco wholesale distribution company. So if you go to like a gas station or a convenience store, all the candy that is there, all the paper products that is there was supplied by Queen City Wholesale. And so candy was always around, always available to me. I remember growing up, being a young kid, always going and seeing dad at work. And I actually worked there for 9 years before opening Fit Body. But specifically as a young child, I remember always going to Queen City, and you'd go in the side door and you'd go downstairs and there was a candy room. And I remember like dad and grandma, they'd always let me come in and I get to pick one candy. And man, it was like the most coveted room in the whole building because I had all the candy, because I used to do vending as well. And they'd let me pick out one candy and I'd go down there and man, you name it, it was there, regular size, king size. And man, it was just awesome. And so for me, candy has always been one of those things that I just really like. The two things I just really like more than probably most candies is Butterfingers and Reese's. I don't know. I think it's like the peanut butter kind of portion of that I just love, but Butterfingers and Reese's. So for the last couple of years, my kids also really like the Reese's. But for the last couple of years, what I do is when we do kind of go trick-or-treating with the kids, I eat all the Butterfingers. Like when they get one, like, hey, Blake, hey, Haley, Zoe, did you get a Butterfinger? All right, I'm eating it. And I eat it. Now, that's not probably the best thing to do, but I don't eat candy all year long. And so what I'm getting at, though, is that if you have candy and you overdo it a little bit, you're fine. Like what I'm getting at is this. I'm in the health and fitness industry. I'm running a podcast called the Fit and Healthy Sioux Falls Show. I'm helping you with your health and fitness, and I eat candy on Halloween. So it's okay if you do that. But what I want to do is help prep you and really get you prepared so that if you don't want to, if you are trying to really change the way that you eat, because the thing of it is that if you do struggle and right now you're in a state where you are really working on getting your nutrition dialed in, it's not the best time because you haven't built a foundation yet where you can kind of go have that stuff and then not after the night is over, you then continue, well, I gave up on myself and I kind of now I'm into a bad habit routine again. And so if you're working on building that foundation where you can really have a better understanding of what you can and can't have and allow yourself to have, that's what I want to help you really be able to understand. And so that first thing is having something planned and prepped so that you have something you can go to if the temptation or craving arises. But now what I want to kind of shift to is talking about what do we do with our children, right? Like they all love the candy. And really what I would do is this, and there's a lot of things, and you can always, of course, come up with your own way to handle it. But what I would do is a lot of times the different dental clinics here in Sioux Falls, dental offices, what they'll do is they will actually take candy donations after Halloween, and then a lot of them will ship them to our troops, so that our troops out there that are serving for us will get then a box of treats and a box of goodies. And so what's really fun is having your kids, hey, I want you to pick a set number, whatever that is, of candy that you're going to pick out and you're going to keep. But then what we're going to do is we're going to do some good and then you can explain to your kids about how there's people that are fighting for our freedom and about our military and the troops and kind of all that. You can explain that to your kids. And then what you can do is say, what we're going to do is we're going to find a donation drop-off site, and we are going to drop this candy off, because what's going to happen is that these troops are going to get a package, and they're going to get that candy, and it's going to be because of the good that you did. And it's going to then also help us teach our kids how to do good, and really also how to navigate through this really overstimulated time with candy in our lives, how to navigate that. And so those are just a couple things and ways that I wanted you to understand kind of how to deal with the Halloween candy craze. But the biggest thing too is a lot of times these candies are those smaller sizes, right? And so a lot of times too, what you can do is allow yourself maybe to have one a day and calculate that into the nutrition that you're going to have that day. And look too, it's really interesting. Look at these little candies and just be aware of how many calories are in these candies, because so many times we don't even realize, like the little Reese's, and I don't have any by me right now, but we don't even realize one Reese's cup, how many calories are in that one little Reese's cup, right? And just being aware. So much of really navigating your nutrition journey is being aware of what you're putting in your body. So this Halloween season, I want you to, number one, have fun. It's supposed to be a time of kind of fun, dressing up and doing whatever you want to do there, but going out and just meeting people and enjoying time with your family, spending it together. And so number one, have fun. Number two, be planned and prepared so that when the temptation maybe comes up, you already have an item that you can replace that craving with that's going to still satisfy your wantingness to eat something. Number two, get your kids involved in understanding how good donating can be and how good it can feel to really help others in need. So get your candy together, find a donation drop-off site and take your candy there. But then the last thing that I want to just cover is you don't have to follow the norm. There is no norm. And so my last tip that I wanted to cover with the whole Halloween candy and traditions is that anything that is a tradition has become a tradition because it's been passed down from different generations. And so with that being said, you don't have to follow the norm. Maybe for you, Halloween can turn into something where it's really you and your family at the table playing board games, or it's a time that, hey, on Halloween, I get an extra workout in, and that's a new routine or a new tradition that you start. And so what I wanted to just get at is that you are in control of how you live your life, and you are in control on how you do what you do with what anyone else does. And so if you are at a point where, you know what, I don't want to go have my kids get the candy, I don't want to do that, well, guess what? You're in control. So start a new tradition and make that be the thing that you guys now do. Hey, enjoy this time. Enjoy Halloween. Have fun with it. I hope it's a time that can bring some joy to you. But I hope that a couple of these tips will help you understand how to navigate the Halloween candy and how to make sure that you can stay focused on your health, fitness, and nutrition goals during this time of the year. Have an awesome day. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this episode of the Fit and Healthy Sioux Falls show, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye, guys. Peace.